with Mark Glasgow, owner and chairman of Edinburgh Boiler Company and the Energy Training Academy. Welcome, mate, and thank you for being the very first on Tough at the Top.
Thanks very much, mate. Thanks very much. Pleasure to be on.
You're very welcome, mate. Very welcome. So, me and you go back 10 years now?
10 years, aye. Well, 2015, 10 years, aye. 2025, yeah.
Yeah. You were nowhere near the size that you are now. Your growth has been absolutely phenomenal. Something to stand back and admire, and I know that a lot of people do. I want to get right into the what makes you tick as a person, as a man, as a dad, as a husband. I want to just sort of get into your brains, mate, and hopefully people watching can take a wee bit away from it and say, listen, that's great advice. I'm going to go and have a bash at it, or just that wee kick up the arse to let people do it. So let's go. Where did you grow up and how it all started?
So, Mark upbringing, grew up in Nidri, so a rough sort of area. Household, I've got 4 brothers, 4 siblings, good mum and dad, always had a good sort of close-knit family. But growing up in Nidri, obviously presented a few challenges. We never had much money. I think anybody had money in their days.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Nidri isn't a very affluent area in Edinburgh, is it?
Poverty-stricken area, a lot of crime. I love growing up there. I wouldn't change my childhood for anything. It taught me a lot of good things. But growing up in Nidri, it was fun. I enjoyed it. But it built me who I am today, and I think that street smart comes in for growing up in Nidri. So good family.
Mum, dad?
Mum and dad, very close-knit family. Had a wider family. My dad's mum had 12 kids. My mum's mum had 10 kids. So we've got a massive family.
That is big.
Lot of cousins, but I've seen a lot of cousins go down the wrong road and path as well. I've got a lot of, even just last week, one of my cousins went and died, trying to inject into his leg, and he's passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
But what that done for me, and my mum was always good, don't go down that road. It showed me that path, what could have been for me, because I could have been a product of that environment I was in. But mum was always and my dad, always very good at keeping me on the right path. But growing up, obviously, you are a product of your environment. And
100%.
But I don't mind that. It was a product environment. It taught me how to be street smart. We were probably the best way to explain it is, you've got your tribes and they know the way of the land.
Absolutely.
For us, growing up in Nidri, we need to make shit happen ourselves, because we never had money. I had holes in my trainers. We had all I knew what it was like to not have any power in the house, and mum and dad not have money to put money in the meter and things like that. So I knew hardship, I knew tough times. We can delve a lot deeper into some of these stories, but what I was going to say there is we knew how to make money and do things for ourselves at a young age as young boys, my young group of pals. We would...
Gives you a different outlook as well, because when you've experienced it, you know how bad things can get.
Aye.
And the thing that keeps you all together is that family unit, isn't it?
That's it. And even the brotherhood with your pals that you develop.
Absolutely.
We would go, so Fort Kinnaird was usually our stomping ground, we'd go up there, but we know how to make money in it as well. So we would younger days was, we knew when we were doing crime as a young age. We're up to any good. But I was a product of my environment. It shaped me who I am just today, but we knew when the Toys R Us delivery truck came, and we knew when that was full, and we knew how to get in. There was a gap at the bottom. So we knew what day that was coming. So that would be like Thursday night, we would be right, the Toys R Us truck's coming. Time to go up there, boys. But then we wouldn't just go there. We'd go up there, get our packages.
Get your presents.
That's it. Get our presents for that hour. And then not only that, we would go, and this sounds pretty bad as well, but we'd then go to Chiquitos, and we know the tips box was full at that time, so we'd go past and take some tips, and we knew certain things like your kids, my kids now, if they want to, do you remember the SPL folders used to get with all the football players, and you had to put stickers on it?
Yes, the Panini.
The Panini stickers. We'd fill that in a week, because we would we would then go to Asda, and then one of my pals would distract the boom, and they were always at the front counter, because we used to always take them. But we would, so you'd need to spend months on end, and a lot of people never ever completed the Panini sticker books.
Absolutely. I don't think I've ever done. I remember standing with my mates. Got.
Aye, that's
Need.
it.
Got. Need.
we had-
But I don't think I ever filled out one of them.
We would fill it in a week because we'd go up there, we'd take the whole thing, and then we'd just share them between us all. But we knew how to get things done for a young age as
Resourceful, mate.
Aye,
Resourceful.
we were resourceful, very resourceful.
You did what you need to do.
And we're a product environment. I didn't mind sharing that stuff now because I know what I'm doing. But
Absolutely.
just going back to growing up in Nidri, it just taught me a lot of things. Like, as I was saying there, like, we knew the way of the land, like, we knew how to get things done. We were resourceful, as you says. We knew when that was happening and that was happening. We were going around making things happen. And it maybe not have been the right thing today, but it taught me a lot of good lessons on how to go out and get things for yourself.
Exactly. I'm just going to say, you took the words out of my mouth. That's entrepreneurship in a forum. It's not.
For sure.
It's not particularly legal. It's a game. Well, it's
Definitely not legal.
It's not legal. But in the same token, you didn't wait about for anybody to give it to you.
That's it. You knew how to
Did you ever get caught?
get things done. I was always one that my pals would say, "How the fuck do you not get caught?" I was always one. I was always a wee bit a step ahead, but I did get caught a few times. I got caught one time. We were in so instead of going to the truck at Toys R Us, I went to the front edge. I don't know if you remember it was like a tennis ball on a bit of rope, but they were quite popular. I can't remember what they were called. Used to throw them up anyway, but I put one down my jukes. Put it down there, walked out, the guy was like, fucking jailbait as fuck. What have you got there, pal?
It's not a 12-inch bobby.
Certainly not. No blessed that way, that's for sure. But he grabbed me the scruff of the neck, took me through, and then I was like, fuck, I'm going. My dad was a well-known guy. He had the local pub. His hands were like shovels, and I knew what my brother got when he came home doing stuff like that. So got scruff of neck, got taken home with police, and I knew I was getting a scalped arse, so I put a couple of extra layers of boxers on and took the beating.
Like a man.
But a few other stories.
But
Too many to talk
Nidri
about, to be
itself is it's not as bad as it was, am I right? They've done an investment. There used to be an area in Glasgow that was similar called Sight Hill.
Yep.
In Glasgow, and that was all high rise and really poverty. It sits next to Springburn, and that sort of was the Nidri of Glasgow.
Yep. It's not quite. It's different. I think you've got a lot of immigration and that people there,
Yes.
so it's not what it used to be.
Of course.
Like there was so many characters there. There was see Nidri. It was like a bubble. You didn't care about the wider world. It was just who you knew there, and you were just want to impress people in that area. So it was like you didn't care about anything else. Now I care about the world and everything we're doing, but at that time it was just like you knew who your pals were. You had that. It was a close knit community. I kind of miss that part. Like see now, like
Absolutely. Do you keep in touch with it now?
I keep in touch with a lot of my pals.
Do you?
Aye. It's hard to find the time now. Like I go down and still play five-a-sides there every Friday, and I get to see my pals then. But I feel really lucky. Moving on a wee bit, and I feel really lucky that I got the trade. So getting the trade for me was I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And in the early stages when we were doing all that, you're right, we were quite entrepreneurial when we were doing all these things. We used to like go into welding sites and make goals and then start a raffle who could score it, and we'd make money that way as well. But what it taught me is, or later on, it was that entrepreneurial sort of spirit was in me, and then see the trade. When I got the trade, I knew I had a tool, a vehicle, a skill to be that entrepreneur and have. We'd always walk about and talk about, I'm going to have X amount of vans and I'm going to have all these people working for me. So that vision was there for a really young age. And it was just, how am I going to get there? Like, and I turned like 15, 16, and I didn't have any prospects. I didn't have university. We just had normal standard grades, and I didn't do, school didn't stimulate me. And that sounds quite cliche to talk about now, but it didn't stimulate me. I was in every afternoon at school. I would have to go down to which was Sandy's club. So it was for the ones that were misbehaving at school. I was one of them. I had to do that. But it didn't stimulate me. And then anything I put my mind to at school, whether it be PE, CDT, I done well in English because I like to teach her. She says Mark's one of the smartest guys we've got, but I wasn't stimulated by it. So every other class, my teacher was often saying to Miss McGovern, how are you getting this young guy to do these things in English? Because we can't get through to him. But
Makes a difference having that teacher. I remember there was only one teacher that done that for me, and she was a science teacher, Mrs. McCann. I always remember her, and she was the only one that got me at
Aye.
that. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
If you don't get, you don't understand. She's like, you've got to learn a certain way, and if somebody can teach you the certain way that you learn from,
aye,
absolutely, 100%.
I know, and I think it's just like speaking your language a wee bit. But I think it's certain subjects. I mind it was just like a poem I was today, and I was just so focused on getting this bang on. And I think for there, she gave me a bit of feedback, and I liked that feedback. And then she was speaking my language, and then I done well for her. But it was the teacher that made me do it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'm doing at the academy. Without going too far forward, I know by speaking that language and what I'm doing at the academy and helping these young kids, I can do that with the lessons I'd learned early on. But when I got the trade, that was a turning point for me to like screw the nut.
So what were you like as a kid, apart from the sort of the you got to the formative years, 13, 14, 15, obviously you need to start thinking about everybody. The school gets rammed down your throat. As soon as you get to that age when you're close to leaving, they say, right, what you want to do with yourself. What age are you?
38.
38. So you would have missed the sort of, we used to have, a little bit older. We used to have like a careers thing in the library, and you'd go and you'd put in your interests into this really antiquated database.
Yep.
What do you like doing? And it would spit out like 5 different jobs.
Right, okay.
And that was it. Like, there you go. That says that's what you're going to be good at, and that's what's for you. And
right.
and it's like that's what you're going to do. I'm like, no, it's
This is a problem.
that's exactly it. Everybody used to be treated as the same, when actually, if you treat everybody like the individual that they are, it's totally different. It's so much more.
Yep.
So much more.
So we didn't quite have that as such, but I think everybody locally was just going into trades. Like, nobody in my groups or in my environment were going to university, really. So it was like the trade was always the route.
Yeah. Do you regret not going to university? Do you regret not doing?
No. Like, I'm quite happy with how I grew up, what I learnt, and leaving school at 16, and then it was that apprenticeship, no student debt, no learning something that I can't actually get a job for. I never ever wanted a job as such anyway. So it was really into the big world at 16-year-old, and that's where I think a lot of young kids go down the wrong path.
Yeah.
But I had the trade, and I knew where I was going, so it kind of formed that path for me.
Yeah.
And it was, so I didn't regret no going to university or that. And even my kids nowadays, like, I see what they're learning.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to, like, they look at dad and then they think, well, you never done it. And then you look at how the world is changing and how much actually it matters. In my opinion, it matters so much more now than it used to. And I'm speaking from experience. Some might know, some won't. I'm currently unemployed, looking for other work. And every advert at my level is Bachelor of Arts, minimum. And then you're like, are you going to be discounted for it? So if you can't get past that first stage, which I'm finding now, I never went to university. I left, I'm the exact same as you, mate. I left school at 16. I couldn't wait to get out of school. I hated school. But now, when you look back and you think, have I disadvantaged myself? I'm 50 years old. Have I disadvantaged myself now, when actually somebody's not going to take your life experience and your work experience into it? And it's hard as a parent to sort of say, well, the world's different, but Dad, you never done it.
Aye, and I think that there's a lot more opportunity now, you know what I mean? And I think, if you're looking for work, then there is the sort of, that you need to meet that criteria to then get into work, but there's so much opportunity now.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying to my kids as well. Like, even if I want to promote that further education, but if it's not for them, I know what opportunities are out there for them just now. So I'm going to be I never had, like, myself to then be in business and somebody advising me that way. Although my mum and dad did have, like, local chippy, local pub, they did have that entrepreneurial spirit. But what I'm saying to my kids now is, look, if you're not going to further education, it's fine. There is a lot of opportunity out there just now. So I don't mind it. I am an advocate for it to a certain extent, but I actually don't mind if they leave at 16 and then want to get into that big bad world, because I think that's where the lessons are.
100%.
You can pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah, and you're at the forefront of that with Academy as well, which we'll come on to in a lot more detail. But you're at the forefront. You know what's available. You know these modern apprentices. You know these apprenticeships that are coming through. The managed learning programs for pretty every industry now.
Yep.
And that can only be a good thing, because some kids, and me especially, I was never academical.
Yep.
I don't class myself as being thick, and I know what I need to know, but school wasn't my strong suit. And if you start punishing kids for that just now, then this is the current state that we end up in. We are a massive skills gap, and if every employer starts looking for all these qualifications that you don't have, you just take yourself out of the room.
And you mentioned being academic, the ability to study. That wasn't for me. And I think, as you say about the trades and the skills gap, I think what I'd love to see is, imagine seeing 4th and 5th year or 5th and 6th year being offered to an introductory trades. This is something we're trying to work on at the Academy just now, where we can have that as a career option at that age. And then, because one of the problems you see with apprentices going to colleges at 16-year-olds, 17, they can't drive, they are still naive. Imagine they had that foundational course at school. They could see what stimulates them. They can see what they like. They can see what they've got a skill for, and then they can apply that and then take that further. And maybe they develop that foundational qualification at school during the years. And when they come out, an employer sees them as a contributor. They've got a foundational knowledge, and they're contributing for that young age. And then for there, after 5th and 6th year, they're driving. And I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned there, a lot of the kids that aren't academic, they're getting out of school and it's like, all right, they're in the big bad world, and they like the deer in the headlights. And then that's where the depression comes in. That's where they go down the wrong path. That's why they turn to drugs. That's why you're seeing all this antisocial behaviour. For me, it doesn't seem that hard to fix. But it's so frustrating.
Especially when you've got examples of it. And I'm going to reference Shane.
Yep.
Look at the way that he's come on. For those that don't know, Shane started as a straight out of school.
Yep.
From you.
Yep.
With Academy. He's now time served, and he's on his own fitting boilers.
Exactly.
And what space?
2 years.
2 years. What
2
did you
years.
say?
He's 18.
18 years
18,
old,
19.
and he's earning a tradesman's wage.
That's it. So, and that was for me and Doogie. That's Doogie's son. Doogie's MD, Edinburgh Board Company. Doogie's son Shane. Took him on at 16-year-old, but we wanted to try and do things a little bit different. Obviously, with the Academy, I want to try and prove concept that you can do it in a shorter time period. I know I went through a modern apprenticeship myself, 4 years. I was a gas engineer. And when I was at college, it was a time to just kick back and
let's jump back a wee bit. Just so when did you know that trade? First off, trade is where I want to go. I'm going to get myself a trade, and then when you've made that decision, then you've got to say, right, what one am I going for? Am I going for spark, plumber, gas engineer?
Aye.
What was the thought process in it?
I never had a choice.
You didn't.
I never had a choice. It was basically my mum. I knew I wanted to get into the trade. It was probably the easy option for me to get a trade, but it was very difficult. I was applying, wasn't getting anywhere for a period of time. My mum had done work. She had a business cleaning building sites, so she spoke to a site agent, and then I done an interview for Hart Builders, but I never got the job because there was somebody in a third year that got the job. But then the site agent was impressed with me, and probably with my mum speaking to him and having that relationship, it helped. So he brought another guy and says, I've got a young guy here that's wanting to start. Luckily for me, it was a start in the trade, and it was plumbing, and that's what I was doing. I think I was going to be a joiner at first, but I just wanted a trade. I wanted something that I had that certification, I had something to fall back on. But the trade for me was always going to be something that I could do something bigger with. Absolutely. But I just fell into it, to answer your question. I didn't really know whether was it a joiner, electrician, plumber. I would have took any in the early stages.
So you went the traditional route?
Yep.
4-year apprenticeship?
Yep.
Day release college?
Yep.
Trades test?
Yep.
And then?
Gas. And I went right on my own after that.
Straight out?
Got myself a van. Got a wee bit I got a grant from It was a £4,000 grant. I forget the name of the place, but it was a £4,000 grant. Everybody in Niddrie was trying to get this grant, and it was like, oh, four grand, get yourself a van, or £4,000, you then need to pay it back was probably the incentive there. But I got the grant, and I actually bought myself a van and some tools. But I went right out on my own at that young age. So for there, I learnt a lot.
What age were you?
I was 20-year-old, I would have been. 20 was my first business. Aye, 20-year-old, right out. 2021. No, I would have been 20-year-old, 20-year-old.
So am I right in saying that you had some time on the rigs?
I was on the rigs, aye.
So where did that come about?
So before the rigs, that's when I went on my own. So then I had a business called Glasgow Home Services.
Right.
My second name being Glasgow, and then Glasgow Home Services. And then I done a lot of work for letting agents. But what I also learnt a lot was SEO, and I started building my own website. So I got some good lessons in how to try and develop that business through BEC, making a website, doing SEO and getting ranking high on Google and things like that. So I started doing a lot of deep diving then. And I was doing okay with that first business. It was a good wee business, but you were at the mercy of the letting agents. It was just non-stop.
So what does that deep dive look like to you? What is, when you say you've done a bit of deep diving, because there's a lot of people wouldn't even know where to start, Mark. And it's a case of, how do you sit down, you say, right, do you set yourself a goal, and do you say, by the time I'm finished, I want to know X, Y, and Z, or is it just a process that what comes out of it type thing?
I think it was knowing that this internet thing is just not stopping. It's going to blow up, and I needed to be. I've got a period of time now where the old establishment guys have maybe had ads on yellow pages, papers. The established guys, they weren't moving into this new space, and I knew that was an opportunity. So for me, learning that skill, SEO, websites, it was a way really building a business and getting that BEC flowing in. So I seen the opportunity, and it was like, right, I need to learn this. I need to learn about that. I need to learn about marketing. And then the sales and the business side came after that. But it was really seeing an opportunity, seeing what was out there and seeing how the world was changing. And I was at the forefront. I was a young guy and like quite innovative. So I could see the opportunity, and it was just like honing in on the skills that I needed to do, or getting people in to help me. So it was just seeing that opportunity, really. And learning about the skills that I needed to grow that business.
So you done all that first and then went to the rigs and then come back? Or
So with my first business, Glasgow Home Services, I decided I had my first kid, and then so I started a young family at 21-year-old. And at 21-year-old, I know I need to get a home. So everything I was doing with that first business, it wasn't going through the book, so I couldn't get like a mortgage and things like that. Got an opportunity to go offshore, and then I took that opportunity to then get me my first home.
To be employed, and
that's it.
You've got an income.
It was the best thing ever I'd done, because I was still up to... I had my business, and I was still like out partying, and I just didn't have that structure. I had the ambition, but I was being distracted with the environment I was in. But when I went offshore, it was like I've not got that comfort blanket of all my friends and the environment I'm used to. I was thrown right in the deep end, but the lessons that showed me as a young man was phenomenal. Like,
so what were you doing offshore?
I was an instrument pipe fitter. So, but I got promoted up to supervisor. I was in charge of like 20 guys.
So what is an instrument pipe fitter?
Instrument pipe fitter is like, so you've got all your instruments. It's just the pipe fitting towards it, but it's high pressure. It's not like 3 bar. It's like up to 800 bar off there. So you get 6 meter lengths of tube, and you need to take it from this point to that point with no fittings on it. So and
we know pressure release, or it's got. Nothing. I mean, obviously at high pressure, it's
exactly. So a weak point is a fitting. Yeah. So you need to then bend all that tube to get from A to B. So it's 6 meter lengths. So again, it was sort of like honing that skill of a plumber, or using that skill set, that transferable knowledge of a plumber, and then applying it offshore. But I think the OCS on that rig seen something in me, made me up to a supervisor very quickly. I got in there, I started organising all the stores, and then I started, because I was good with computers, you had a thing called your ISSOW. It was like your permit. And then I was looking at P&IDs, again, transferable skills, looking at drawings and that for plumbing. So all the skills that I'd learned, I quickly advanced offshore. And then I was in charge of a lot of guys that had been off there for like 30, 40 years. And I think he just maybe seen me as a bit of maybe not so much a leader, but this young boy can do everything. And then the day I went up a few levels offshore, but it was just a short-term plan for me.
It was never part of the big plan.
But I did progress offshore. But
How long were you there for?
I did it for 3.5 years. 3.5 years, predominantly on a rig called the Brof platform. So there was a new well getting done, a big Norway, you call it a jack-up, comes over, drills a thing, but you've got the static rig there. So we would stay on the Stavanger. Great group of lads I met there. I'm still in touch with a lot of them just now. But you would stay on the Stavanger, the big jack-up, massive rig, and then you would go over to the small static rig, which was the Brof, and you do all your work there, and you go back over there. But I was making good money there. I was making like $450 a day for that 22, 23-year-old. It's not too bad. I was delighted with it, to be fair. So going forward a wee bit with offshore and then starting EBC, I was putting in the pieces there. But all that previous knowledge of starting that first business, I could see that I didn't want to work with letting agents. Yeah. I wanted to hone this skill.
So you've done your 3.5 years. That's it. Enough's enough. You've done that. That's in the past. And is that when you started EBC?
Yep. So I kind of started that a wee bit when I was offshore, but I knew I gave myself like a 6-month window, see this out, get a wee bit more money in the bank, and then while I'm here, I was doing night shifts, so I could then do certain things, and I was reading a lot, and I probably started my personal development journey then as well. But being out of that environment, personal development, reading, knowing where I was going to go and start this other business, which then became the Edinburgh Boiler Company. But I was putting in the PCs, I was starting a website, I was building the website myself at that time, and then putting in the PCs, and then I made that switch. That the contract was coming to an end actually on the Brof. So it kind of it tied in well with my plan. And I knew I didn't want to be offshore. It gave me that excuse to action, bringing this forward and taking it serious. And that's when I started EBC. It just came offshore, had a few jobs, had some ads going out there.
Yeah.
Checker Trade was coming in around about that time at the very start as well. So at that time, Checker Trade was brilliant for leads. So I started having the workflow coming in that allowed me to make that sort of that decision quicker. And then for there, it was just growing EBC, but it was all about the problems of the trade is it's customer service and it's making boilers. So it was the vision was always making boilers easy and having amazing customer service, shoe covers, booklets, just the simple things. And that's how I stood out at the start.
So what did, obviously EBC and the academy are now, it's a beast. What did that vision look like at the start? So you've just come offshore, you're like, right, you know what you want to do. What was the vision originally?
So the vision, as I mentioned earlier, for a young age, that vision I think was always there to have a big business. But at the start, it was just about getting through each step. At the start, it was about getting this website working, getting work coming in. At the time, and as well, I took Connor on, my first employee, web designer, another smart move, but it was all about attracting and giving the perception that we're a bigger business. Perception is reality at the end of the day. 100%. And online, I knew that I could tell a story about this business being bigger than maybe what was. I was doing all the quoting, I was doing all the work, I was doing all the repairs, I was doing absolutely everything. I was doing a lot of the admin work. My wife helped me out with the admin work as well. But obviously we had a young family at the time as well, so I was doing absolutely everything. But I was building this perception of EBC being bigger and knowing where this internet was going at that time. And we made boilers easy. We developed a quick quote tool. We were prominent on everything in terms of all the keywords, boiler installation, new boiler. We targeted all the main keywords to be position 1 very quickly, or position 1 and 2, depending on the keyword. But the first step was lead flow, getting work in. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then after that, it was then about converting it. So it's all right when it's word of mouth and you're speaking to your neighbour and it's like, I need a new boiler. You didn't really need to do much sales then. But when you're going out there and you've got a perception that you're that bigger company, you need a proper sales process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you need to be able to convert these sales.
100%.
So after that was about conversions and sales. So lead flow, sales and conversions. And then the hardest part was getting the capacity, the demand that I'd created, and getting people on board, good guys that had similar values and attention to detail that I had. To be fair, some of the guys laugh at some of the jobs that I've left them in, so they'll probably be laughing at this part. But you got to give me a break. I was doing installs, doing the marketing, doing the admin, doing the estimating. So I always knew that I wanted a big business with the best engineers, and that's just where I nearly became a victim of my own success, where we had all this work and getting the work done at that standard was difficult. But I still had that perception that EBC had all the good reviews, it looked great online, and I just need to get through the emotions. So that was like lead flow sorted, conversion sorted, capacity was a difficult part. And it still is, like,
of course.
capacity is an ongoing thing.
So how did you...
And delivery.
I take it, capacity, if your issue is capacity, you've got to increase.
Aye.
So I take it you just brought guys in?
Brought guys in.
Did you sub it? Did you bring them on straight in as direct labour? Or?
Some subbies, some direct labour, but I never had any onboarding processes. I didn't have any systems there. Like now, we'll have a proper induction, who we are, we've got values, you need to align with the values. You then have a proper onboarding process with the systems, and then when you go out there, you need to do your pre-work forms, you need to do your after-work form. Like, there's so many things there that I didn't have back then, and that's where there was the quality. It was just like, the job was getting done as good as that engineer was, really.
No QC.
And his standard.
There was no QC at all.
Exactly.
Aye.
So,
which is chalk and cheese to where you're at.
Exactly.
At the minute.
Exactly. But I think this is a struggle for a lot of other business owners, getting through the barriers. But you just need to have that resilience to keep getting through it. And a lot of people get burnt with their reputation at that point. I done well enough to not let it affect their reputation. I think the reputation was getting a wee bit affected, but because everything looked so good, that perception online, I managed to get over the other side of that. But it was difficult. It was really difficult.
How long were you in the shed for?
The shed in my back garden, my first office. Aye. So that was probably about a year.
A year?
Aye.
And then you moved to...
there was a wee little commercial building, sort of...
Is that the first time I seen you with the one that was like the car park was all potholes and...
Aye, that's right. Aye. That was a great wee office. So it was like... So it was a commercial cottage, one big corridor with 5 offices off it. So when we got in there, it was... At that point, the leads were coming in. We had a good wee team, but we needed systems, processes, and then I started developing automation and how to get these processes. I'd done a lot of reading at the time as well. Some of the books I read at the time were pretty useful, like E-Myth, like Even Your 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. They were good books at that time. Just loads of, as I said earlier, when I was offshore, that's when I started that personal development journey. So, but I was doing all this at night as well, reading books. Never I struggle to get through a book now, to be honest. Like that, it's difficult. But at that stage, I was like locked in. I was proper developing myself.
That was the first time me and you met in that old office.
Yep.
And I remember Dougie says to me, "Listen, Mark's going to do great things. He's blah blah blah. He's going to do this and that. And there's a massive potential, obviously, in my previous role." And I remember sitting down with me and I come out and Dougie's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I want to be part of that journey because I think that he's going to have something special at the end of it. Not blowing smoke up your ass. That's just the way it was." And I remember Dougie speaking about the fact that you're reading all these books and all the rest of it. And did you not take a mentorship with Joseph Valenti at some point?
No,
or was it just a...
So this is probably forward a wee bit. When Joseph had Impragas, he hit a bit of trouble. But at that time, I was going into Glasgow, Dundee, Aberdeen, and he tried that model. So I got in touch with Joseph then. Before he started Trade Mastermind just now, I think he was just starting it. He was going through that trouble with Impragas, reached out to him then, and then I wanted to know all the things that he messed up on. So he gave me a lot of, to be honest, good advice on what not to do.
What not to do.
You know what I mean? And there was some good stuff there that through the few conversations I had with Joseph back then, it was he
Well,
was actually quite helpful.
Adora, I've mentioned this when your name pops up in conversations to sort of colleagues or customers when I was with my previous company. I've seen you dig for information, and you're not shy with it.
Yep.
And it's a case of you sit back, you'll ask the questions, but I've also seen you implement what's come out of those conversations. And there's not a lot of people would stand and say, you can help me, you don't know you can help me, but it's just, it's that hunger for information, hunger for lived experiences, like people that have failed, what have they failed at, how did you do it, what would you do differently?
Yeah.
And you've got a great ability to take that on board and then implement it in a way that suits you. We played golf. We played with a bigger company down in Newcastle. First thing you done in the tee was fuck the golf. We're going to talk about business for a bit, and you get right into the ribs. You probably don't even know you.
No,
Probably didn't even know
didn't.
you were doing it.
I didn't.
Probably didn't
know.
even know you were doing it.
That's it.
It must become second nature to gain as much information from a situation as possible.
100%. And I think that's what I've been looking for. See, for a young age, we didn't have knowledge. And I know how important knowledge is, but knowledge is useless unless it's used as well. So I've always been action taker, as you say, we're resourceful, we take action, we get things done, we implement things. But for that young age, I think it's the foundational skills that, and it might be the communication side as well, but getting that information, I know how important information was, and there was a lack of information as a young kid. So I actually love information now. And that's probably when I went on that personal development journey as well, getting information, but using that information to then go forward. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to grow a business back then. The ambition was there. So the vision, the ambition was there, but you need to action it. But then at the back of that, you need to have resilience as well, because it's not just going to be a straight road. There is going to be humps in the road, and you need to have that. And that's another sort of foundational skill that I got as a young kid, that resilience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's not everyone can do it. I mean, I've been in your company and I've sat and you've says, I'm thinking of doing this, and you'll take feedback on it. Would you think?
Exactly.
And I've said to you, and maybe not the greatest of ideas, but you've went on and done it, and you've changed it, and you managed it. And,
That's it.
and you absolutely. And do you keep a tight circle, or is that conversations like that with everybody, or is it with people that you either value their opinion, or is it a case of just I'll keep my circle really small, and I know that these guys have probably got my best interests at heart, or is it a case of it's open to
No, it's always been. I've always had quite a, especially when I went offshore and sort of came away from that friend group. I've always been on this mission, and I think this is the problem. I came off social media like 10 plus years ago, and I didn't want all that noise. I didn't want to get, like, if you follow the herd, you'll get the same results. You know what I mean? So I know I need to do something different there, and social media can be a great tool, but I've got a small group, and I think for me one of my main skills is the vision side of things and that adaptability as well. It might not be a great idea at first, but I will action it, and I will learn, and I will pivot, and I will make it better. So I think that can be quite a powerful tool, is to have that laser focus, especially in this sort of modern world that we're in, and get things done and get to the next level. So a lot of people talk about getting them done, but unless you action it, you take that information, you action it, and you get things done.
Would you buy into the theory that all entrepreneurs share the same personality traits?
I think
Determination, vision, hard work.
Aye.
You can't really do it without
That's at the foundational skills. That's
skills.
it. Aye. I think like going back to growing up and not having abundance, and knowing that I needed ambition, but know you need to go out and do things yourself, and that actually, that you need that drive. You need that street smart as well. You need to see what, like, it might be, as you mentioned there, it might be not a great idea, but you're smart enough to then pivot and change it and make it that idea that maybe what you foreseen. So I think all entrepreneurs, some are lucky. I think it's different nowadays. You can have a start. You can have one idea and you can go and raise £200 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there is some business
You've
to that,
got Kickstarter, you've got GoFundMe, you've got all these project launch pads now that just didn't exist.
So I think out with technology and like there is some sectors that you probably don't need the foundation of, but I suppose you always need that drive and ambition. But there is some things that come into play that you can maybe do without and still make a good businessman and have a great opportunity. But they're powerful.
Yeah,
that combination of all the foundational skills that you've mentioned.
Definitely.
I think most entrepreneurs need that and should have that.
So you're in the new building, and that's when it starts to go a bit crazy, innit?
Aye.
I remember, as I said to you, we touched on it with the first time I met you. It was bare bones of an office at the start.
Mm-hmm.
It was necessity more than it was for sort of cosmetic. It was functional, and like you said, a big corridor with all the rest of it. But it served its purpose. That's when you launched your first TV advert.
Yep.
And I think everybody that's seen it thought, holy shit. For one, it's not cheap. For two, where did it come from?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And holy shit, there's another player on the block. Was that the intention?
100%. Aye. I think at the start, I seen the opportunity online, but I'd still not arrived as being that main player on that pedestal in Edinburgh. So we're a local company. I wanted to what gets me out to the masses. Like it's all good being online, but then what gets me out to everybody that's sitting in their living room, and I wanted to be known all across Edinburgh and be on a pedestal, be on a league of my own, really.
Yeah.
STV done that back then. It was brand awareness. It was an exceptional cost that I'd managed to pay that through the merchants, really, and then clever ideas where. You know what, like where I'm negotiating, right?
So it brings me on. It's leading me right on to it. You were an absolute fucking pain in my ass, by the way, because you do your financials a little bit differently excuse me. You do your financials a wee bit differently to everybody else, and you leverage manufacturers in a way that no one else does, and that's not going to leave this room. And in the way that you do it, and the mechanism that you use is entirely confidential. But you were a pain in my fucking arse.
You had objection handing for a lot of things, but I knew what you had, and I'd done it. I flipped on its head, and I could see the hamster wheel going.
But how fun was it?
It was good.
It was good, wasn't it? It was good
it.
sitting down, knowing that there was a mutual respect there. You've got you know where you want to go. I know where I'm going to end up roughly, and we ultimately got there. But the fact that you prioritised PR and marketing so much was baffling to me. I'll be brutally honest. I'm like, what? I mean, that's thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yep. Everything went back into the business. Though.
That's what I mean. Every single penny.
You then get to 10 million a year, not putting everything back into the business.
Did you ever take anything out?
I live a comfortable life, and it was like I think this is another thing that people get wrong. See, coming off social media, they want to portray that they're this success.
Absolutely.
Not being on there and no having to go and please all these people. I put it into business, and I knew always what that bigger vision was always there. And I'm still that, and it's probably not a healthy thing. I keep pushing this bar further and further and further, and I keep investing and see how far I can take it. What if I could take it to 100 million, 50 million, like that?
Are you ever going to get to the point where you're like, right, I'm happy?
Aye, and I think that's
I've got to where I envisioned I could get. In fact, I've actually surpassed where I thought I would get to.
Mm-hmm. I think the way I'm built, I always want to challenge myself. I want to get better and better and better. But I've learned to enjoy the journey now. So you asked there, were you taking anything out? I didn't need anything. I've got a nice car. My wife's got a nice car. I've got a nice house. My kids are looked after.
Not talking about now. Obviously, you're in a totally different financial circumstance than you were back then. I mean, back then when all this money, thousands of pounds were going back in, did you ever feel, you know what, I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to take a little bit, I'm going to do that? Or is part of the drive that you've got to have the discipline, actually pay yourself a salary and don't worry about anything else. As long as you're making enough to pay the wages for everyone and myself, the rest of it will take care of itself.
That's a win right away, like paying other people. And I take wins out the small things as well, but you need to you need to reinvest in that company. Like everything that was doing, and there was tricky times there as well. Like using other people's money and leveraging that, and there's smart moves there, but it's a gamble. You know what I mean? But there's only a select few that's willing to take that gamble for that bigger dream. And I think on what I was saying there about what you asked there was, did you take it out and did you enjoy it? I was enjoying just being in business and growing this business. That was my reward. You know what I mean? And seeing how far I could take it. So I didn't really need material things. At a younger age, I would have probably needed set things and a lovely car and all that. But I had all that anyway. So it's like, just practice a bit of gratitude. And I was enjoying the journey, what I was doing with the business. And I was developing as a person, developing as a business person, looking after people, putting food on the table. So there's a lot of enjoyment out of growing that bigger business along the way. So it's about enjoying the journey. And it sounds like, oh, he enjoys the journey, but I do think I need to. There's something healthy about not trying to put that bar higher and higher and higher. Like you do need to enjoy that journey. Yeah,
you've got to take time to take it in. You've got to take a little bit and say, I'm going to stand back, see what I've achieved, refocus, and then we'll go again. That first office is where the growth really started. You started sort of upscaling the workforce, upskilling the workforce. You basically, everywhere that you turned, there was an EBC van, and it was a case of holy shit. It's like I say, you literally exploded, came out of nowhere. At what point did you realise, one, I'm doing it right, or did you question, shit, am I doing it right? And then realise, I'm on the right track, and I have a set plan. Was there a point where you got that, or was it literally finger in the air and say, do you know what, I'm going to busk it and see what comes out of it?
I think that's always there. Like even at this stage, I feel like we've got a plan.
Fuck it. Let's see what happens.
Aye. So like back then, like it's like I had a plan. Did I know everything? Certainly not. Do I know everything now? Certainly not. But I feel like I'm still. That's the thing. It's like what I know now is good, but then like there's always that next thing that you're pushing towards.
Yeah.
And there might be some systems in here that worked back then, and then they don't work now. Like a 3 million business has systems, and then the 10 million business needs a whole different array of systems and structure, senior management, and then what do they always look like? So it's an evolving thing.
Absolutely. So if you type your name into Company's House, it doesn't just bring up the Academy or EBC. There's a few there.
Yep.
Where do they sit within the scale of things? What have you? What other? Because you're down as the director for, I think it's 4 or 5, is it?
I think there's probably more than that, to be fair. But there's some of them are ideas, some of them are dormant companies. So I think like Baldew Scotland. I didn't even really advertise this, but a great community interest company that helps kids get career ready. So that's one of them. I'm a director of that. I sit on the board of that, which phenomenal. So basically any kid at school who needs maybe what help with their CV, or they maybe need they've got self-esteem issues and things like that. We help them with all that kind of stuff. So I do a speech with them and help that business navigate and how to help these kids. So that's one I'm part of that I've probably not announced, and I should announce because it's quite a impactful thing that we're doing there. Last and Nicola Melvin.
Social impact is phenomenal, mate. And you look at you think how many of these kids end up the Chilwell's panel, and because they've just had no guidance.
That's it.
No, so you've got the a few businesses, and my point was they, I presume, took a back seat for allow you to focus 100% on EBC and the Academy. I mean, well, as I say, I want to give the Academy the time that it's due, mate. So we'll go back to that first office, scaling up. Hardest thing for a lot of people to do, because you've got to make sure that you bring in the right people, not too expensive, but you need to pay them to get the quality right. What does an ideal Mark Glasgow EBC employee look like to you?
So they need to have good values. We used to have our old values, which was teamwork, ownership, professionalism, and safety. So each new employee needs to have that. Tops values. We've changed them now. We've just changed them at our last EBC event. But they need to have these sort of core values, and I think I'm big on bringing on personalities now as opposed to skill set. A lot of these guys with the right skills don't have the right personality. So this is where the MLP works really well.
Yeah.
So without going ahead to the academy, but the
course.
MLP it's a 6-month course, intense course. But what you get with MLP is you get individuals that they've maybe got a mortgage, they've maybe invested that £8,000 for that 6-month course themselves.
They're not just here
They've got a
messing
family.
about for a
Aye,
laugh.
that's it. And I'm an advocate for apprenticeships, but we've got 400,000 green skills workers needed in the next 10 years. We're projected to do 200,000, so that's 200,000 short with the traditional routes into the trade. We need alternative courses like the MLP to be able to meet the targets. But the personalities that you're bringing on there, they're adults, they've got the license, they've got that commitment, they've got families, so they're coming on, they're serious. What I'm seeing is these guys, they go and buy their own tools, they're going looking at YouTube, they really advance very quickly because they've got the transferable skills and knowledge, they're mature, they know about health and safety and legislation. When they come in, they can do it in that 6-month period. There needs to be further mentorship, but that's what the senior engineers do. So this model it's got a bit of a bad name because a lot of people or a lot of training centres were putting 15, 20 through a course.
Yeah.
It's about quality training, giving them that quality time in the academy, and then with a quality company, with a quality mentor. And as you mentioned there about young Shane earlier on, Shane's 2 years in, and because he had a quality mentor here with our senior engineer, Connor, at EBC, he's trailblazed through this, and he's now fitting boilers safely, neat, tidy. It's phenomenal. It can be done.
Perfect case study. Case study just to sort of say.
And he's a young guy.
Absolutely, 18-year-old, and he's time served and fitting boilers safely.
Exactly. So this 4-year apprenticeship, it needs to change. It's outdated. I think what you're seeing is there's no competition there with colleges. You get I'll go into a bit of detail with this as well, because you've got Skill Development Scotland, they pay SNPEV here in Scotland. SNPEV then use your colleges, but there's no competition, there's no private training centres, so you're still bending lead, you're still got that all course material. When there's competition, there's innovation. There's no innovation happening with this, and it's just stale, it's the same thing. It needs to change, and then we need these alternative routes to get that skills that
I remember when MLP first came about, everybody was horrified.
Aye.
For what they believe, good reason. How can you teach somebody to fit a gas boiler in 2 years, and how can it be safe? I think the model's proved that
it works.
It works.
It works.
It's a very particular skill set you're giving them, and if you can make them really, really good at it, then what's to say you can't learn it in 2 years in a non-traditional, air quotes kind of way? What's to say you can't learn it in whatever period of time that you learn that? If it needs to go for 3 years, then
exactly.
That's the way it goes.
I know, exactly. I'd love to see the MLP model getting funded correctly, because it does work, and I think it is that mentorship. But as you say there, it's focusing on a particular skill and qualification there. So if you look at filling a cup, you're filling that cup right up. They're learning about that one skill set, but then you go and fill up, and that's the roadmap for them. It's additional skills alongside that. What you're getting at college is a broad skill set, but each one of the cups are just getting a wee bit of water in them each.
Absolutely.
Fill one cup up, move on to the next, and you've got a competent contributor.
You've got a core set of skills.
Exactly. Yeah. So it can be done. It's been shown. It's getting done, and that is my main route for new employees now, is looking at MLPs. Yep.
So just for those that don't know what MLP stands for, it's a managed learning program.
Yep.
That can be accessed via
the academy. So it's a managed learning program in gas. We bolt on heat pumps as well, so they get that heat pump qualification. So it's a renewable MLP as well. But it's a 6-month course. We do it slightly different, where we do 2 weeks in the academy, and then you do 2 weeks out with a portfolio company, or a company that takes you on the field and then helps you through that portfolio, the on-site skills. And it's really key with the training, it's not quantity, as I mentioned earlier. We do 10, they have individual bays. At the end of the training, they're going to be able to, they'll have a gas meter and a water main, they need to fit a boiler, they need to fit the hot water outlets, they need to then fit a heating circuit, they need to wire the boiler, we even bring in underfloor heating in that as well. So they, in that bay that they've created, they get that sense of achievement, but they get that confidence that if they can do that in that bay, they can do it on the field. And when they're out in the field, it's really about quality companies with quality mentors. And that's one thing I think where with MLP, if that was funded, imagine you had set companies that had to be accredited and being quality mentors, but it was funded. So let's make use of these senior engineers. A lot of guys out with amazing experience that are not being utilised. These new entrants should be going with a mentor that has been accredited. And then for there, you'll just see the quality mentorship happening. Right now, it's a bit of a lottery. They're going out there, they're going to a portfolio company. But if we could accredit these guys and there's a little incentive there for employers, that would be phenomenal. But a problem I've got there as well is with apprenticeships. You don't have any incentive for the employers. So let's incentive the employers to take on apprenticeships as well. And the employers will advertise, but the employers want these young kids to be contributing, so they'll develop that skill set quicker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? These are the things that I think it's not hard to fix.
Yeah.
Seeing an introductory to trades, apprenticeships, if we could see employers being incentivised, we'd see traction with apprenticeships. These employers would be advertising for apprenticeships. Right now, the only incentive is maybe if you're tendering, you need your community benefits and you need to take on an apprenticeship, but there's no real incentive in terms of a monetary value. It's all been taken away in our sector. So it needs to be, money's maybe the problem there, but we need to look at how that money's being distributed as well.
So your growth in the growth from Edinburgh Boiler Company, first office, you started to scale up, outgrew that office. Many years have you been in here now?
But I think, to answer your question, I think it's around 4 years we've been in here. But again, it was just the business was becoming busier. We need a bigger facility. I wanted nicer office, nicer offices, and somewhere I can grow into as well. And I think
so. Are you here for a few years, or do you reckon you're going to outgrow this as well?
I think we've got another level in here, so we've got the ground level, as you know. Yeah. So we can grow into this space a little bit more, but probably we might look to get a new facility in a couple of years. Aye,
crazy, mate.
But there is room to grow into. There's a bit.
No, I mean, from when you first came in and it was a bare shell, and you knocked the offices up and put the glass walls in, and it's like, and then before you know it, you're upstairs, and this is your office here. This is ultimately where we're sitting in. You've built a podcast studio. You've got the whole sort of shooting match. You've got a golf simulator, which I'll get a video of before we go, just to sort of pop it on, let these guys see it. So you've moved. You're now in Dalkeith. Set up. That's when we had some serious conversations about support and stuff from your manufacturers. How important is having friends in the industry and having a really strong relationship with your manufacturers and your suppliers? How important is that? First off, how important is having friends in the industry? Like people that you can lean on for help, but also competitors that are saying that you have got, because we know that there's a great group of guys, especially in Edinburgh, that are doing some great things. One in particular just now.
I think having friends in the industry, that network and the ability to communicate and get knowledge, but also for the monetary sense, for like being you negotiated over the years, that's helped us massively in creating what we've created. You know what I mean? So we having friends in that network, like I can pick up the phone and get things done that probably a lot of guys can't, and that's leverage. That's a superpower, if you like. You know what I mean? That you can get things done and it stands you apart as well. So there's many benefits to having good friends in the industry and that good network, but they need to buy into. And I would always have that conversation with you when I was negotiating as well. It's like, well, look, if you believe in where I'm going, you'll do this, Tony. And then you'd be like, oh, right, okay, he's caught me with that one. So if I didn't agree this, I didn't believe in it, sort of thing. So yeah.
How important is it having competition?
I think competition, it's that as I said earlier, where there no being any competition in training, there's no innovation, there's no progression. We like, I know what I was doing 5-6 years ago. I would be comfortable probably if I was still on that pedestal, but I knew a lot of local guys were starting to do all the things I was doing and catching up. So then for me, it's like, right, where do I take this? What's the next thing? How do I still have the unique selling points that I've got just now? And how do I keep staying ahead? It's difficult. But it really, that's where innovation comes from. That's where the progression comes from in the industry. You start getting creative. So competitions, it's everything.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, if you've got no one competing with you, then you're never going to improve. You're never going to. You're going to stagnate. You're going to stay in the same.
There's no incentive to improve. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
That's
and your competitors have got something to chase for because they've got the big guy. Obviously, you've got the bigger guys.
Yep.
Within, well, you've got your nationals. You've got BG. You've got a lot of these guys. Obviously, your Octopuses and your energy companies now are obviously involved. But it gives somebody something to aim for. Like 100%. I want a part of that. I can do it.
Yep.
And there's a great bunch of guys in Edinburgh that obviously that we both know. We've spent a lot of time with them socially as well. And it's just a big bunch, and there's no jealousy. There's no.
And I think that's something that I had to learn. And now I'll sit with any of them and give them advice, and I like helping people, and I like seeing people progress as well. But that old saying, like, you're stealing someone's dinner, like, that's very, very prominent in the trade industry. Yeah. But you can go faster and quicker, or you can go quicker when you've got that network and you're sharing knowledge and you're helping each other. Like that's another powerful thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think trades guys should really sort of lean into that, whether it be networking, but have their own sort of close-knit group that they can share the ideas and help each other. Each one of the companies will go quicker. The ones that try and just keep everyone close to their chest, they often don't progress.
You've navigated a landscape when others might struggle in regards to the sales side of things, because if you're a gas engineer, you're not a salesman in the normal sense of the word. Sales gets a bit of a bad rep. Now, my background is 100% sales, and I'm very passionate about it, and you know that to be the case. People think that they can run a business, but if they can't sell, then they're absolutely doing themselves a major injustice. A lot of people say, "Oh, I fell into sales." Why can't sales be the career of choice? Very much like what you're talking about. Do you know what I mean? I'm speaking from something that frustrates the life out of me, because it's a case of you look at folk and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just a salesman." No, you're not just anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something that probably 80% of the population can't do well, and I use the phrase well, but you've managed to navigate that through bringing in the right people. And that's one of your biggest strengths, in my opinion, is you know when you can't do it on your own. For the amount of people that have to sort of stand back and say, "Can't do this. I need help," and you've never been shy to do that. And the sales platform is an absolute perfect example of that, where a lot of people can stand, especially if it's a one-man band, and they're standing in somebody's house and they're just looking at the boiler and they're literally doing nothing, and they've missed out absolutely a load of information. They've missed out a load of different things that you can pick up for the minute you walk in to the minute that you leave. And this is to give tradespeople that skill, even if it's a little bit of an insight as to what to look for, when to shut up, when to talk, be very, very aware of your environment. There's loads of little wee tips in there, and that's something that I feel passionate about, because giving these skills to somebody could actually absolutely change their business, but they don't see it. They see the important things. They see the quality control. They see the product. They see the price, and price. You know for a fact, price can come really quite low down the list of priorities when you're talking to a customer, because you ain't the cheapest. Edinburgh Boiler Company is by far nowhere the cheapest, and that's the way it should be, because you're paying for everything else that goes with it.
I think sales is like one of the foundational skills, but it can be learned.
Yes.
And I think, as you mentioned there, it can be a vital cog. Most big companies have got a few good salespeople, and it's the difference between making money and not making money. The ability to go into a home and talk to that customer, connect with that customer, understand, present, and then sell. You know what I mean? You need to do it in that sort of way.
Absolutely.
But I think it can be learned. It's one of the foundational skills, but it's so important. You need to be able to attract the customer. But if you can't convert that customer, you're going to have no work. So you need to be able to attract them, you need to be able to convert them, and then you need to be able to deliver and delight that customer.
Absolutely.
That's all you really need to know.
And then
That's
what
the pipe.
a lot of people forget about is the follow-up.
Yep. Yep.
Everything all right? Just give me a courtesy call, make sure everything's all right.
100%. That's it. And it's that repeat lifetime value of the business. But
absolutely.
Sales, I think, I'm not a sales guy, but I am a sales guy in terms of the being able to communicate and negotiate. Like, everyone needs the foundational sales skills to be able to talk and negotiate their way through life. Like,
Absolutely.
you're saying sales is maybe chatting a woman up when you're like, it's sales.
There is no
It's
difference.
negotiation.
You're selling yourself.
Everything's negotiation.
And what I think people forget about when it comes to sales is everybody's got a USP.
Yeah.
Or every company has a USP. And if they haven't got it in the product and they haven't got it in the service,
Yeah.
make sure the fucking USP is you.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Sales, if you're being sold to, you shouldn't know that you're being sold to.
That's it.
It should be it should feel like a natural process, not being forced. In my opinion, sales is about rapport building. It's the first thing that you do when you go in there, regardless of what you've got to sell. If what you've got to sell or what you've got to offer or what service you're punting is too expensive, but they like you.
Exactly.
And they trust you.
Yep.
Can't stress how important rapport building is. Just as soon as you walk into any environment, you've got to be able to put a firm handshake out there, shake the hand, or whatever. If you're a woman or whatever, it's some women are phenomenal salespeople.
Yep.
Simply because they get it
They
and they don't
connect,
complicate it.
That's it. And I think sales for me, I wouldn't say it's one of my strongest points. But you mentioned earlier, how do you surround yourself with? I've got the framework there, and then I surround myself with these people, and I can recruit these people. I'm a wee bit impatient with sales, like that rapport building. I kind of want to just get to that finish line as soon as possible. But I've got the framework there. But that ability to be able to attract the right people for the weaknesses you've got, like you need to be really self-aware on what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and then it's all about putting that team around you, and it's following all the weaknesses, and together all the attributes are sky high, and that's where you really see progression and you move forward.
Yeah. So we've moved. You're in Dalkeith now. You've got the offices up and running, and then you fucking stole Dougie.
I was respectful of it, wasn't I?
You honestly didn't think you were getting away with this conversation without this getting brought up at some point. No, for those that don't know, and Dougie Bell, he joined you as operations manager.
Yep.
Dougie worked for myself and my previous company, and he was an integral part of my team.
Yep.
He was the senior within my team. Dougie's a different breed.
Aye, he's phenomenal. I've learned a lot from Dougie as well, and just the way he carries himself. He's got morals and values, and he carries himself in a certain way that you can only just respect.
Yeah, Dougie's built differently. Dougie doesn't know what it means to lose.
Yep.
And that was evident from the minute that I interviewed him the very first time.
Yep.
He's unbelievable, and I'm not blowing smoke up his ass because I tell him it to his face. And from me personally, I'm extremely proud of where he's came and how he's done here as well. He's done it, and what he's done here is phenomenal. Dougie's a friend, a mate, and he'll always be a mate. But I've got to give it to you. You knew who you wanted, you knew what you wanted, and you went and done it. And I wanted to keep him 100%, then why let him go? But in the same token, you've got to let him go. Me and Dougie had a wee bit of a not a falling out, but obviously we didn't. We had a bit of a time where it's like, well, you're fucking off then, fuck off, and that was my issue, and not realising that it's the best. It was the best thing for him.
Because you need to start doing some work after
that.
that.
Pretty much, me, aye. But in all seriousness, I knew how strong he was, and I knew what what a gap that was going to leave, and it'd be really, really hard to
And
try and fill.
I think for me with Dougie, like I met Dougie when I was fitting the ID Vogues in that early stage, 2015, when I was just getting started. Had the one van, went in, he was doing a breakfast morning in City Plumbing in Craigmillar, Peffermall sort of area. Went in there, started fitting the Vogues, just developed a relationship for there. But it was always like, I always felt like he was part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Externally, but he gave me a lot of good ideas in terms of maybe like the Build the Boiler campaign and things like that. But always, Doogie's one that you can share ideas and he'll come back when he has the time for you. So for there, it was like, he always felt like he was part of the team. He was external when he was at the another company, but then when I was speaking to him, I always felt like he was part of it, and he was on that journey with me, and he was wanting me to do well. You know what I mean? And then I think when the position became available, like for me, it was like just felt like a natural thing to go and ask him, because we developed that close friendship, and then I knew his capability. He's learnt a lot since he's been in Edinburgh Boiler Company, especially like recently we've been MD in that as well. There's a lot that I've shown him as well.
Let's go to that point then. Obviously, ops manager, ops director.
Yep.
What was it? Ops director.
Ops director. Yep.
And then you decided to take a step back. What was the thought process behind that? Because ultimately, this is your baby. For you to sort of stand back and say, "Do you know what, Dougie? Take it."
One, it takes somebody you trust and somebody that's capable. So if I never had that, I couldn't have made that decision. But he was capable. I trusted him. And I think for me, my idea is always to build several businesses. So I remember showing this to Dougie at the start, like, here's my plan and here's where you can get to. And I think he just met that challenge, and he took it. He took that opportunity, and he knew where I wanted to go. And building the academy, I needed that.
Yep.
I needed that with Dougie, but I couldn't have done that if I didn't trust that person and I didn't think they were capable. Now he's doing a phenomenal job in here, and I think it's one of the best decisions I've made.
No, he's got laser focus.
Yep.
His skill set's crazy. And listen, let's be honest, he works his arse
No,
off.
he does. Yep.
Absolutely works his arse off, and he's all that's an ethic that has always been in play.
Yep.
Always been in play. But he very much like you, takes on advice and processes it and
Implements it,
implements
for sure. And I think that work ethic, I've got that in abundance, and I think he's matched that and shown me. He actually pushes me sometimes, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think together we're pushing each other. So it's rare. I think it's rare to get that as well. But there's one thing, seeing it, but actually taking action and making that big change. As you say there, people would consider like EBC or that business that they've grown to be their baby, and it'd be a lot for someone to do that. But it just made sense,
of course,
because of my bigger plan and what I'm trying to do, and having somebody there that you trust and is capable. And I want to inspire people, and I want to help people and achieve wealth in their own individual self. I don't want to just go and create everything for myself. I want to bring all these people up as well and share the success that I'm having and going to have. You know what I mean? And I think that's a powerful thing to do.
It's very evident, mate, and everything that you do. As I say, I feel I sound like I'm blowing smoke up your arse on us, but it's evident that your success means as much to them as it does to you. Do you know what I mean? They're all bought into it. I mean, even the award ceremony, the atmosphere around the table.
Yeah.
No,
it's a good feeling. Like, see, being able to share success, and like being an entrepreneur can be lonely. But see, when you've got that team and you're all aspiring to be better and you're all working at things and you're achieving things together, there's nothing better. That's one of the best parts about business.
Absolutely.
Giving people, sharing that success, going somewhere, progressing as a team. It's quite addictive, that.
So it brings me on nextly to what's your management style? What would you say, if you could put it into a box, what would it be? What is your management style for managing people to get the best out of them?
Mine's is more, I'm a visionary. Like, I see things and see the day-to-day management. I can go off and get to see that, as I mentioned earlier, about that lady in the red dress, but I see things and I want to implement, I want to get the knowledge and I want to do it, but I want to pass it on and I want to delegate. So my management style is more, I know my strength and it has been that visionary, but then I like to know what I need to do to make that happen and implement it, and then I like to delegate it, and then I like to give that sort of the duties and responsibilities and let them know the KPIs and the targets, and then it's for them to then achieve after that. But management style in terms of, I think your management style needs to be adaptable as well. You need to know who to pat on the back, you need to know who to point the finger at, and you need to be adaptable as well. Fortunate for me, I didn't need to do too much of that now. We haven't Dougie there. And one of the hardest, probably the hardest job for any entrepreneur is to be like to pay off people in that as well. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to do. You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing to do. And I think as much as I've paid probably 40, 50 people off in the whole 10 years, but it doesn't get any easier.
No, but you've got a job to do, and I think that's it. And if that person sitting in front of you recognises that, it makes it so much easier. It's the issue comes when they don't. I mean, I would class my management style as a sort of collaborative empowerment type of style. We work on the idea together.
Yep.
But you've got the power to make your own decisions as to how you want to implement that. And as long as the results are coming in, then everything's rosy. It's when that doesn't sort of happen, it's we've got an issue.
Conversation, yeah.
So Dougie's in place. You pitched the idea of the academy before it happened. You probably pitched it to a lot of people, but I remember you pitching it to me, and I remember exactly what it says to you, is that you've got conflicts of interest.
Yep, for sure.
How's that planned out? Is it still... You don't need to answer this if you don't want to.
No, I can answer that, no problem at all.
It was the talking point.
Yep.
And the industry said, I won't be sending any of my guys there.
No,
I'm not lining his pockets.
I think I've done a bit of research on this now as well, and I think it is a select few that maybe didn't want to put what they perceive as money in Edinburgh Baller Company's pocket. Yeah. It's not the case at all. I mean, look what we're doing there. The impact we're making. We're helping kids. We're bringing people into this industry. They won't stealing anyone's dinner, you know what I mean? But these guys, we've created an amazing facility there. A lot of investments went in it. It's better than everything else that's out there. We've got an amazing team. The facility's phenomenal. And I didn't mind saying that because I know it is, like, the facility is
absolutely.
It's on another level.
Totally agree.
So I wanted to make it that good that everyone wanted to use it. And there's a social impact side of things, there's a community interest side. 75% of profits go back into the community.
So I was just going to say, what if you had an elevator pitch to say, listen, here is why I'm doing it. I could probably write that for you because I know that it's about the community. It's about making things better for the young ones coming up, giving them options and improving the industry that we all worked in.
Yep.
That unless you're part of it, you don't really understand it and you don't really get how close it is, how close knit it is. Yep. It's a safety environment because you can't just walk up and like a joiner and say you're a self-trained joiner. You can't do any of that. And there has to be procedures, rules and regulations in place. What's interesting is that you probably got a lot of people telling you that's a really bad idea. Did you? Or you had people saying, which ultimately is
and I think that's what I like to hear as well. Then I want to show them I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think that goes back to the foundational skills. Even like, without digressing too much about who I am as a person for the earlier stages, I was always a wee bit smaller than I was one of the youngest in my year, and I always had to prove myself. So I think that core skill was in there as well, and I always want to prove people wrong. So if people are saying that's like, and the vision's there, so vision's a strong point, and I know I can do set things. But in terms of that pitch, I think it's a legacy project for me as well. Like, my mum passed, and she was a very giving person. And I showed my mum about the academy. She was so excited about it. And then getting kids in and giving them a career that she helped me get, there's nothing better than that. And I want to show my kids how much impact I've made on the industry, and even like cutting carbon emissions and that. Like, I don't want my kids breathing in 100 parts per million in 10 years. Like, so I can say I've done all that good stuff as well.
What was your motivation for the academy then? Was it? I'm going to take a stab and say it's not money motivated.
I think you need to be able to make money to have a bigger impact.
That's not your
so
biggest
it's important.
Motivation.
It's very important. And I think my motivation for the academy is I grew up in a rough area. So grow up in Nidri, there's not a lot of opportunity. And a lot of my friends have died, they're in the jail, and I know what going down that wrong path looks like. So why would you not want to change people's lives? Like, once you've made a bit of money, like, helping people, like, it's a tribal instinct in us as well. Like, when you hand somebody 20 quid, but then you go and help somebody do something, the
And maybe
feeling's
on 20
completely
quid.
different. So I want to be able to change careers. I want to be known as that. Like if you think about like your name gets forgot, you die twice. You die when your heart stops beating, and
Yeah.
then you die when your name's last spoken. So I want to leave legacy, and I think this is with the industry I'm in. This is the best way I can do it.
Yep.
But it needs to be a business at the same time. So I think what I've been doing over the last 2 years of the academy is just try to get that revenue there and get it working, get it self-sufficient, get it working. We've invested a lot of money into it. I've invested £500,000 myself. And we got an amazing grant from Firstport, which was their Catalyst Fund. So the Catalyst Fund allows you to pay back on revenue. So if you're not making that revenue, then it comes down. So it's quite a flexible loan and grant sort of payment. So they've been phenomenal in investing that, but the academy needs to be invested further. But I think it needs to make money to then create that bigger impact.
Yes.
So, but the main motivation is its legacy. It's like I want my kids to be proud of me. I want to change people's lives. I want to give people careers, and we're doing that. We're doing that, but I want to do even more than that. But I need
I was just
money
going
to
to
do
say,
that.
there's a sound of frustration in your voice there
Aye.
when you're talking about that. There
Yep.
is. It's like you know what you want and you know what's wrong,
Yep.
and a lot of people know what's wrong, but it's not happening quick enough.
Yep.
It's
Aye.
not. It's not at the pace, and it's not at the. It needs to be to fill the skills gap.
We can do so much more in there, and it is frustrating. Like, to answer your question, it's very frustrating, and I think if you look at all the government's objectives in terms of creating jobs, creating green jobs, creating jobs for underprivileged individuals, helping kids, it does everything, and it's not being funded. We can do so much more. I've got so many ideas in there, and so there is a sense of frustration there for me because I know what it could be, and we're
Yeah.
sort of just scratching the surface just now.
So
but-
what do you need to take it to the next level?
I think right now we've got, so this quarter we're just focusing on getting sales in to then allow us, one, to have a business to then create that bigger impact, but we're not taking a focus away on the social value and social impact side. We're doing that stuff, but there is a real focus on making this business commercially viable, that it can look after itself because the funding's not coming in. It's beyond me that this place isn't getting funded, but we need to make it on our own as well. Like, we can't depend on government as well.
Of course.
So that's the focus just now, is to make it commercially viable and self-sufficient, that we can continue to do what we're doing, really. But hopefully soon, if it means we are then bringing that commercial value to do all that, we'll do that. But I think it would be good to see some investment for government into the business. Like, even the capital costs, it was all me. There's no capital funds there on creating something that does everything that the government needs to be done. We're cutting carbon emissions, creating jobs, green jobs. We're doing all that work with school. It is a special place.
I mean, and you've got some big name manufacturers that have taken rooms in there.
Yep.
Obviously because they believe in it and they want to support
Yep.
the academy, but they also want to support you for the loyalty that you've showed over the years as well. So what would you say to somebody that hasn't seen it? Is it a case of pop in and give me a shout, come and have a look? Is there a way that they can contact you to say, listen, I like the sound of it, I don't know, or even they might be able to help you? Are you looking for a partnership anywhere? Are you looking for anything else? Because you've got Octopus in there. Is it Ovo as well?
Oh, utility. We're starting relationships with a few big players, and I think that's key. It's business to business is one of the quarterly objectives we've got is to try and develop more business to business relationships. But anybody that wants to come in, I think anybody that's been in the academy, when they leave it, it's like, wow, what a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and that to me, that's where probably the frustration is, because I know what I've built, and I've built the amazing team. We've got Carolyn and Andy in there. Carolyn's an absolute superstar. Yeah. Andy's a superstar, and the wider team there that we've got is just phenomenal. We've got some great guys and women in there, and we've got Baldew in there as well, so they've got a little bit, we bring the kids in there as well. But what we're doing in there is, like, when you come in there and it's busy, it's
buzz about the place.
That often you do need to pinch yourself a wee bit what we're doing in there, because we are changing lives, we're creating careers, and it's a great feeling. But we're getting there, and I think it's really going to get traction over the coming months, and next year we're going to really see the academy really be self-sufficient and more, and then we're going to see all this community impact and social value that we've wanted to bring. Just that's going to be realised really soon.
Yeah. If anybody hasn't seen it and you want to buy, I would absolutely recommend it. It's great. You've got the house,
Yeah,
which
net zero home. Yeah,
you've got the energy efficient home that's got everything that you can see working, touch, hands on, feel it. You've got the manufacturer's rooms upstairs.
Yep.
You've got the learning facility through. If anybody hasn't seen it and want to see it, by all means, I would absolutely. You'll be very impressed. 100%, definitely.
Yep.
So what's the vision for it then? Where do you want to see it go? We're sitting here in 2 years' time in a catch up. Where is not EBC, because that's obviously going to look after itself to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the academy?
I think I want to see as many people coming through the academy as possible and creating careers. And I want to try and break down some barriers there and helping kids at school that introduction to trades. I think it'd be great to see some traction there. Again, legacy. Imagine being able to do something like that and bringing that sort of into the curriculum would be phenomenal. But I think the managed learning program and gas and heat pumps and electrical would be phenomenal. We need these alternative routes. We need, as I mentioned earlier, we've got 400,000 green jobs needed over the next 10 years. The projected jobs is only 200,000, so a 200,000 shortfall with the traditional routes. This alternative route, as we've spoken about, does work. I'd like to see as many people coming through as possible. And then for me, it's like, how many careers have I created? It's the team we've created together. It's impactful.
It's funny because you mentioned you don't want your kids and your grandkids breathing in all these noxious fumes and stuff that are coming from gas boilers. Our industry is in an absolute shift of technology and the way that people are looking at heating their homes. The government has signed up to a mega stringent reduction in CO2 emissions. What is the heating of the future for you in your head? Because there's a lot of people would say it's not going to be heat pumps.
It's bespoke. It's not one size fits all anymore.
Yeah.
We've had combi boilers, and that done the job. For heat in particular, it is like we can't fit a heat pump on a tenement flat, as you know. So it is bespoke.
Some people can.
Well, I suppose there is. I mean, that's a good point though. There's new technologies coming out as well.
I'm talking more of that do it, that shouldn't do it.
Right. Okay. Aye. But I think to the masses, I think it's a bespoke. There's no one size fits all now. That technology is no in existence. That one thing does all that. It's different units and different products that you need to. And this is where the skill set is lacking at the moment.
Yes,
it's being able to go in there and see what this customer or homeowner has got, and then being able to adapt and recommend the right and suitable products to help cut their carbon emissions and produce energy in solar and battery.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And you're right. There's a massive skills shortage. From previous sort of research and information that I went looking for, there seems to be a cut off for guys that are not going to bother with it. Yep. Right. So anybody over 40, they're going to see out their time and the rest of their career on gas or plumbing or whatever. I think anybody that's below 40 has an appetite to realise I've got 30 years, maybe 40, 20, at least 20 years in this industry. I'm going to need to retrain. I'm going to need to upskill. And it's the frustrating part is that you've got the things. All these other training facilities have it, but the government aren't doing what they're supposed to do to help and get these guys through. You can give them all the grants in the world to sort of like, you can take £2,000 off a heat pump. You can give your grant. You can do all that.
It's policy change that we're needing.
Of course it is.
If you can make some stuff mandatory, and then we'll start seeing that traction.
Exactly. Scotland had its chance with no gas boilers into new build properties. They reneged on it and extended it for another 2 years. That has done Scotland a world of damage because it's set us back where we could have been at the forefront. We could have been looking at saying, actually, it's totally possible, and here's the blueprint for doing it. And but we are where we are. It's you're not going to see it for another year in April yet.
And what I would say on that is, I've been a wee bit frustrated with waiting on things. It's a wee bit, I get impatient, as I mentioned earlier, and waiting on this policy change. But what I would say to anybody looking to upskill is, like, if you're a gas engineer, for example, you're a small fish in a big pond there, but you go into air source heat pumps and upskill, you cut all these carbon emissions, but you're a bigger fish in a small pond, and that's where all the opportunity is lying. Like, there's going to be so much opportunity in this space, and demand is phenomenal. And there's not the skills to do that. So get into these new sectors as soon as possible.
You know what exactly is going to happen? That you're going to have the government change legislation, and the people or the engineers and the installers are going to have no time to catch up because it's going to be the demand, instead of being ramped up gradually, they're going to make legislation, and everybody's like, well, actually, I want a heat pump and I want a boiler because I'm getting penalised for
exactly
for this. You've got clean heat market mechanism coming back, albeit in a smaller scale, but manufacturers have been fined for not producing and hitting targets on sales of air source heat pumps. I think that the industry itself just now is in a bit of a turmoil because it doesn't know what way it wants to go. It doesn't know how long gas is because nobody's come out and says that, by the way, we're outlawing this and such and such.
But the problem is there's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
It'd be easy to transition over to this one product that done everything, but we can't. It's so bespoke to each person's home, and then the skills just aren't there to be able to advise on that design and then fit that product as well. We're going through a real it is quite a hard, if you think about the grand scheme of things, there's so many things going on out there, so many variables and skills shortages and new products. It's a minefield. So it is quite hard to get it, but we know some technologies that do work for certain situations, and we should be focusing on that, upskilling on that, because that technology, that one size fits all, isn't there. So we need to focus on what is there just now, develop the skills, fund it, do what we need to do in order to achieve our net zero 2045 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. What's next?
I think for me, next is just continuing what I'm doing. I think developing new businesses, exploring new opportunities, but first I want to make sure that the academy is absolutely rocking.
Do you give yourself a time scale?
Well, I've given myself 3 months to get rocking, so I'm going to go back in there and focus a lot on driving sales, and then that's going to allow all that community impact. But we have an amazing team there, the delegation's there. It really just needs to start developing sales, and we're making good sales. We're increasing revenue month on month, but I just want to get there quicker.
Yeah.
So, but what's next for me is probably looking at new opportunities. I want to start helping trades guys as well. So I want to, the knowledge and experience I've got in growing my water company and academy, I want to start helping trades guys grow their business. But I've put that on the back burner just now to focus on the academy and get that to a stage where it's growing without me. It's not just operating without me, it's growing without me, like what EBC is just now. So I want to maintain focus, laser focus, and then I'll see what else is out there. But I think it's going to be Trade Boss coaching, but also want to bring in a few new aspects to that. Because it's a few months down the line, don't want to give too much away just now. But what I want to do with Trade Boss is, when I was at the start of EBC, I needed certain things, and I want to give these tradespeople everything I would have needed at these stages, or everything that they're needing at this current stage in their development. And that would be, it's coaching, it's systems, it's accountancy, it's marketing, and then AI now as well. If I can have this ecosystem to help these guys, there's got to be nothing like it out there in the industry. I just feel like I'm the person to do it, and I think I've got a lot of transferable skills and knowledge there, and looking forward, I can see where the industry's going, and I want to really focus my time on that and see what I can and do in that space. But first and foremost, get the two businesses or get the academy absolutely rocking.
You mentioned AI. You've been a great advocate for probably as long as it's been there. You've your LinkedIn is very much, a lot of your content is AI or aimed at AI in the future of it. Where double-ended question: how important is it going to be for the future of industry in general, and what part do you see AI playing in your group of companies or your life in general?
Yep, AI sort of, it fascinates me and it scares me at the same time.
Me too.
You know what I mean? But I think now we're at the stage, we're still in narrow AI, and I think agentic AI right now. So I think it's sensible to just focus on where we're currently at, but have an idea of where it's going as well. So right now, agentic AI, you can refine your processes. You can have, for example, we're working on a few different AI agents, which is voice agents. So they're going to be then booking in our calls. We do a 5-minute call from when lead comes in. So we're going to be doing that in seconds now. On the phone, this bot is going to then call, book it in, do the PQQ, pre-qualification questionnaire. It's going to take the customer through that process, but within that long language model, it knows everything about our business. It knows how to route the call. If they say one thing, it'll then route them in that way. So it's done 24/7, it's done consistently. So my main focus just now is agentic AI. We're going to have a bot then call all our service reminders. We have X amount of cover customers on board, and then it's going to call every one of them and schedule it in.
Yeah.
So not only does the call, it then books into our CRM system. But then we're thinking about upsales and all that as well. And this is all happening 24/7 consistently without you. So I think that's the main opportunity just now. In the future, artificial general intelligence, that's when it moves to AI having the ability to think for itself like a human. But to power that, there's a lot of challenges though. You're needing to power a small city. The power to power that is you're needing a small city like production to power one model of AGI. You know, when it goes to ASI, it's one nation of power. So it's like there's some of this like quantum computing. There's a lot of advancements needed there. How do we cool this? How do we do this cleanly? When all this energy comes, how do we do it cleanly? We might build the smartest mind we've ever built, but we can't power it. You know what I mean? So we can't power it with fossil fuels. We need to power it clean as well. So there's a lot of challenges there. But what's next for us is really just seeing where it's at and then see where it's going. And I think agentic AI is the space just now, and we're developing a few things there.
It's inevitable that it's going to cost jobs. It's inevitable there's going to be casualties in it, and unfortunately, I think the majority of them are going to be in the creative industries. My opinion. I know for a fact that I've got. I use Canva for a lot of my DJ stuff and bits and bobs, and that's linked into it now.
It's phenomenal.
You've got a graphic designer that's sitting there twiddling their thumbs because you don't need it anymore. Photographers. Again, a bit of my past. I love getting out with a camera. You're going to be, because you literally tell the image that we tell them the image that we want.
It's getting better and better as well.
I mean, when I first used it very, very early on, it was quite.
The imagery wasn't there,
agricultural too. It was like, it was clunky. There was not. Now you you upload an image, tell it to do this to it, stick it back out, and before you know it, you've got you don't even need to go into another program.
It's phenomenal.
I put you in. Have you AI'd yourself?
No.
You never AI'd yourself?
No.
So it's the new thing. Do you want me to read parts of it to you?
Go for it.
About Mark Glasgow.
Right.
It's the prompt. I can't. So basically, the prompt I gave it was, I'm interviewing you today. And I want to know a little bit about your background, where you came from, what you know about him, and give me sort of some background information. About Mark Glasgow, founder and chairman of Edinburgh Boiler Company, established in 2015, born January 1987, Scottish national based in Dalkeith, Midlothian, started EBC from humble beginnings, originally a man in a van, and built it into a firm employing 40 to 50 staff across Dalkeith and Glasgow. Under his leadership, the business expanded from the boiler installs and solar PV heat pumps and low carbon heating systems, positioning itself as a forefront of renewables transition. Major milestones and initiatives oversaw turnover growth from 1.9 million to 4.4, 134% increase in 2021. So these are obviously using your last published. Prompting expansion of staff and facilities, including a new HQ and energy training academy. Founded the Energy Training Academy in 2022, designed to upskill gas engineers into renewables and provide vocational training for young people. He remains deeply involved as a director. In January 24, transitioned from MD to chairman, appointing Dougie Bell as managing director and partner. Glasgow shifted focus to strategic growth, community engagement and the academy. In December 2024, EBC was named Building Services Contractor of the Year in HV News Awards with praise for its rapid growth, rebranding industry-leading services, and then it goes on and on and on. But can you imagine how long that would have took to sit down and troll?
We should have just done that at the start, and that would have been the podcast done.
But do you know what I mean? To how much effort you would have had to have put in to get that level of detail. And by the way, it goes on and on.
It is phenomenal. It really is. Just, we're in a time now where it's, I think the smart, like you're going to have, you've got people now, you're going to have businesses without AI and businesses that are using AI, and that is going to be the difference with the ones that are going to be here in the next 2 to 3, 4 years. I think, as you mentioned there, the creative industries, marketing, I think marketing is going to be felt the most. I think there's a lot of opportunity with marketing just now, like being able to create that for trades guys, for example, be able to create that. You can do it rapidly, you can do it quicker. I think marketing and paid is going to be affected very, very quickly, especially with some of the bigger platforms and their ideas and having it all prompt-based for the average user. And then you look at Lovable. Lovable's mission is you've got X amount of, I can't remember the exact number, but you've got X amount of developers in the world, but their ambition is to make everyone a developer. All these people with the right amazing ideas, they've always had that roadblock of creating apps and creating ideas and making it into a thing. Lovable was idea, and they've just raised 200 million on their first, like like that. Their mission is to then make everyone a developer. And I don't know if you've tried Lovable or you tried Replit.
No, I haven't.
You should try them. It's phenomenal. You can create an app within 5-10 minutes now. Like, it is phenomenal. So, like, that's not what somebody would have foreseen like 5 years ago.
No, absolutely.
So, like, what is the next 5 years? It's just phenomenal. But I think you're going to see a lot of business opportunities, but they're going to come and go quickly, I think. But one thing's for sure, getting into the renewable sector and creating a career in air source heat pumps and gas, there's no robot coming very quickly, unless, although you've got the Optimus robots for Tesla, but that's a long time away. But nothing's coming for skilled trades. Nothing's coming for skilled trades in the near future. So this is why it's a safe bet. If you're in an office block or you're in the creative industry, get ahead and be one of the big fish in that small pond. I pay right now my air source heat pump subbies £2,500 per install. Some of the guys are doing 3 of them a week, some day 2. So if they're doing that 52 weeks, that's £260,000 a year. They're maybe paying, they've got a squad there, so just say take away 60 grand, they've maybe got their vans. So just say they're making £180,000. Your doctor that trains for 10 years and has 10 years of student debt, I think they train up to 10 to 14 years actually, they don't even make that. They make £120,000 if you're lucky. So why is no one getting into this industry? It's a thriving industry. There's a big skills gap. Demand's increasing. Get into this industry and reap the rewards.
But we'll start winding it down, mate. But a couple of things that I want to just sort of get into. What does first off, what does your day look like? Normal day, can you get up? And what does your week look like? And then what does your weekend look like? So what's a typical day for you?
So every morning now, I've made over the last 10 years, I've sort of neglected my health. I always played a bit of football and that sort of tidied me over. But the last year, I've been really focusing in on my health. So every morning now I focus on myself and I go to the gym. So I've even got that addicted now. I need to do it Saturday, Sunday, or I don't feel right. So the morning is always focusing on myself. I'll read a few emails. So I'll get up, I'll go right to the gym. I'll do a session in the gym, and then I'll do a wee bit cold water and sauna. Some mornings, sometimes if I'm in a rush, I'll maybe not do it. And then I get into the office. The day before, I'll usually plan out my day. So I'll get into the office. It's usually I have scheduled meetings throughout the day, and then I have time for new project stuff and things I want to work on. And then I'll sit up here in this office, and I like quiet time. That's why I've created this quiet space, because that's where I do my best work. You mentioned earlier your strengths. My strength has been in silence and looking at, I'll maybe just sit and look at Zero, my accounting package, and I'll look at what's working and what's not. And then I'll then create projects at the back of that. But then I'll make sure I'm maintaining contact and managing my teams as well.
So when you've got that much going on, and people say that time is precious, but they actually say it and never really understand what it is. High-performing individuals value time more than they value money.
Yep.
Simply because the more time that they have to be able to do things and focus on stuff, the more money that they can actually make and the more success that they can bring to themselves. So time management, when you get to a level, is so important. Do you give yourself specific times, or how do you manage your time? Because over the course of a week, you've got 5 days, 2 at the weekend, but by the sounds of it, you've got such a lot to cram in. So how important is time management to you?
Yeah, I don't think I've got that. I've got a lot of freedom now.
Right,
I've got a lot of freedom, and that's through the delegation, the systems I've put in. But now I do have structured days where I do focus on myself. I do the necessary meetings to move that needle and make sure I'm communicating with the team. And then I have time for then looking for opportunity and looking at what's next. So for me, that's I'm taking care of my health first. And then after that, I'm making sure the team's doing what they're doing. And then after that, I'm looking and being that visionary, which is my skill set. I'm looking at where the opportunities are, and I'm educating myself even further. And I'm looking at, I'm maybe networking, and not networking, but making calls and seeing what else is out there and getting that knowledge on lock, as you mentioned earlier. So I've got a wee bit of time, but I've got a structured day now. The week sort of consistently goes like that. At the weekend, I will always take the weekend off now. I always did, to be fair, but I'll spend time with my family. Saturday, sometimes Sunday, I do like to work. I had a wee spell there where I was working on Sundays, and it was a way of just getting ahead of the week, which was good. But always, every Friday night, I'll play five-a-sides. Saturday morning, we do something with the family every single week, and that might just be chilling out in the house, but we try and do something. Sundays, sometimes I'll do a bit of work, sometimes I'll do something else with the family. So, I've got this thing where I measure the wheel of life, relationships, business, sleep, all these different things, and I see where it's at. And I do that like every other month, and it keeps me in check with everything that's important to me in my life. And I think if you're measuring it, I operate that like a business as well.
Of course.
You operate that and you can see where you're out of sync. And usually when you've been on holiday, you can put your relationships and your family up to the highest tier. But there's smart ways of habit stacking with it. Like I'll go to the gym with my wife, and I've done relationships with my wife, and I've looked after my health, and I've exercised, and I've got my water in. So you can habit stack them as well. So you can be very efficient with your time with doing things like that, but you need to measure it.
How important is that support network for you? How important is the wife understanding all of that? I mean, my wife is an absolute, she gets me. She's the only person in this world that absolutely gets me inside and out and knows what I need and what I don't need and all the rest of it. I think you need that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because if they don't understand you as a person and what your motivations are, then... So what role is Kerry's Kerry played in this whole journey?
Massive. I think she doesn't get the justice what's deserved for what she's done. She, for the early stages when I was going through that personal development journey and getting out of that environment, she was key. She seen someone else in me and made me the person I am. I was a bit erratic then. I was fully ambition, but maybe going down the wrong path at times.
Yeah.
She got me on the right path. I got to that environment. So for there, that's probably the biggest thing that she's done. But at each stage at EBC, not a lot of people know this, but she's implemented a lot of the things, whether it be office staff and systems. She's helped me with everything. But like you mentioned there, like that, find that balance. You need a good wife to be able to
100%.
hold maybe what I've bulked just now as well.
And there's never a truer saying that behind every great man is an even better woman.
Very, very true. And I think like even now, like if I have a hard day and I go to Kerry and I have a wee chat with her about something, she'll say a few things and she puts everything into perspective, or she'll give me a wee nugget of information, and I'll use that like every other day. But she just comes with a different opinion to most. And like you say, it's because she knows you inside out, and she knows what you're doing, and she might not see everything day to day, but she kind of gets everything as well.
Absolutely.
So I think having a good partner is another. That's a superpower, like
absolutely.
for sure.
Now I'm going to touch on something that's a bit of a hot topic at the minute, mate, and then it's mental health.
Yep.
I had the pleasure of DJing your family event, and you had mentioned, and you got kudos for this from me, by the way, for doing this, because I think a lot of people should take on board exactly what you've just done. And you brought in was it Andy's Man Club, or was it
Men's Matter? It was actually Doogie brought them in.
Was it?
Doogie brought them in. I think he was at a Warmworks event and they spoke there, and he was quite moved by it. And then I was again then moved when they came into the EBC day.
How important is looking after not just your own mental health, but having the foresight to see that some of your employees of your team might actually be having to be things in bits to look out. It's I once heard an HR professional who shall remain nameless call mental health the new bad back from an HR professional coming. That sort of took me aback a little bit. But it's evident that people that describe it like that have never had a mental health episode in their life, because if you did, you know for a fact that someone is sitting in that house going through something that you've never ever experienced, but you think that they're sitting there just wanting to get time off and to do that. So the fact that you have made that available, kudos, mate, absolute kudos to you, because I think there's more people need to sort of realise that, listen, it's not just a made up thing. And
I think I don't want to take credit for that, because it was
Doogie's
idea.
Absolutely, 100%.
He brought them in, but
even more so for Doogie. Fair play.
Phenomenal. I know, and I think like we're navigating a world now where there's so much change and rapid change, and like we're eating foods that we maybe never ate before. We've got screens in front of us. Our brain can't cope with this, and it's of course we're going to be challenged mentally with all this kind of stuff. And men especially, they're no talking. You know what I mean? And I think what was apparent on that day when Men Matter came into the EBC day, I was so surprised that there was about 5 or 6 of the guys that stood back to talk to these guys and let them know what they're going through. And that, for me, that was like, wow, we're making a difference. I actually didn't expect that.
Oh, really?
I didn't. I thought there might have been one or two. I was surprised at how open they were and the engagement that we were having with discussion with the guys. By the way, it's an amazing charity, Men's Matter. I've not been through at the facility yet, but even just hearing these guys speaking, it's phenomenal what they do and how they're helping people. But I think that was a wee bit of a lesson for me in how important this is.
100%.
And I think if more companies can do that, not just men as well, women as well, but if more companies can do that, we'd be in a better space. But we need to encourage people to open up, and I think that's a problem shares, a problem halved, and that's
100%, mate. And I think the stigma attached to especially men's mental health is slowly being eroded. 100%, and it has to be. The hardest part is recognising that you need help. If there is anybody out there and I'm sure you'll be an advocate for that as well, by all means, please do try and reach out. And I think that getting to that point where you realise that the thoughts that you're having aren't healthy, we'll use that word, then it's probably time to speak to someone.
100%.
But yeah, it needs to be, especially within men, the stigma attached just doesn't. And men are different, aren't they? We're different. For all you've got those mates that say, if you ever need it, pick up the phone. It's different when you do.
I know. And they actually mentioned really something about that where it's like, how you doing, mate? And it's like, it's kind of like
fine.
You brush it off. I'm all right, mate. But then look, how are you, Tony? And like, how are you, mate? And like, when you ask it differently and you want to dig a bit deeper, that's the kind of question we need to be asking. No, how are you, mate? All right, all good. See you soon. It's more, how are you, mate? Kind of like I want to know more, definitely. You know, and that's how it starts.
Yeah, we need to look after each other,
sure.
Especially. Couple of quick fire questions. Dead or alive, you've got an hour conversation. Who are you having it with?
My wife and kids.
Nice. Biggest high?
I'd probably say probably the ETA Open day. That was a real big high, and I think that was because it is a legacy thing, and my kids were there, and friends and family and that were there. It was a big day. Kerry got up and say some nice words after my mum passing and that as well, and it was a real special day.
Good. Nice. Like it. Biggest low?
Biggest low, losing my mum.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, that's it's irreplaceable. Have you ever hit rock bottom?
No, really. I think I was smart enough to, even when I went through that period of my mum having cancer and things like that, and then losing my mum, I started working with a psychologist to help me get through that. But I was smart enough to then know that I'm probably going to need help through this. So I started speaking with him a bit more, and he was giving me the tools to cope, and it was a smart move, but it really helped me. But I would say I don't think I've ever been at rock bottom, to be honest.
No.
Nah.
Everybody's version of rock bottom is totally different.
Aye,
Right? So
that's it.
you've got to feel rock
I
bottom.
think I could have been, but I made necessary moves to cope through that. But I could have been close to that.
Are you happy?
Aye, I am. I'm very happy with what I've created with my family, first and foremost. Healthy kids, beautiful young girls who are smart and funny, and we have a great sort of close-knit family. And then what I'm doing is purpose-led. I'm not just doing it for money. I'm creating legacy. So I think maybe I need to be happy with what I'm doing, and I am happy with what I'm doing. Aye.
Good. 3 do's for somebody that want to go on their own. Must do's.
Somebody going at their own. I think forget the naysayers. Have belief, back up with action, and resilience, and you'll get there. And I think don't try and do something too quick. Have a bit of everything in this world is no get rich quick, although there is opportunities to get rich quick. Have a longer plan, set out on how to achieve that plan, and try and condense that plan, and you'll get there with resilience and vision and action.
2 more.
That was
3. Missed the first 2.
Well,
sorry,
I said naysayers.
Ah, you did. Sorry, you did.
Yeah.
Mate, sorry, you did. Listen, mate, I can't thank you enough for being the first guest on Tough at the Top.
Pleasure to be on for the first time as well.
I've absolutely had a ball, mate. It's been a great to catch up. It's I've got a little bit more out of you than what we would normally get to.
For sure.
So, but listen, thanks, Mark.
No, pleasure,
Appreciate it, mate.
Pleasure.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and we will see you in the next episode.
Good man.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers.
Thank you.